But in-house, it is the new commissioner of the Department of Corrections and also the Deputy Commissioner of Administration and Finance, Kerry McDonald, and the one and only Burl Cain, a legendary man in the field and the industry of corrections. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program. How are you?
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
Glad to see you. And to Kerry McDonald, how are you, sir?
Doing fine.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. It's good to see human bodies, as I said, after all of the quarantine. I don't even know where to start here, but so far your grasp of where we are and where we need to go.
Well, we have a lot of good tools here to work with. We have some really good people in MDOC. We just need some direction and some guidance, and we headed on the track of moral rehabilitation for our inmates.
When you spent how long in Angola?
21 years.
21 years. You've been out of the industry for what, 2 or 3 years now?
Well, I've really been in the industry because what I did at Angola that changed the culture there is what I'm going to be doing. It changes the culture here. I'm working in 17 other states, and they've embraced the same program.
Yeah.
So we're just moving forward with that program here.
Do we have what is needed, the template to do that, or is there going to be some major reconstruction or major reorganization?
There's going to be some major attitude changes, and there's going to be some can-do attitude, which we have here. We just need direction. And if you saw Unit 29 and 30 at Parchment today, you would be shocked at the pictures you saw earlier and how the pictures are today. So we have a lot of talent here. We can fix this.
You saw that? You've seen it?
I've seen the pictures. I'll see it Friday.
You've already been there once?
No, sir. I'm going to go Friday, and I'm going to see it. I've been there. Yes, I have been there, but I'm going to see it again Friday as it's been corrected.
Is that the one, the prison system, that needs most of the attention?
It all needs the attention because we have to change the way we do correction. We have to be more askable for the inmates. We have to engage with them, and we have to really promote moral rehabilitation. And we have the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary here. We established when Haley Barber was governor, but they never utilized it. And that's the game changer because you're producing agents of change here with moral rehabilitation that have never been used or enabled to be utilized.
When you look at, and I get a lot of letters from these people over the years about some of the stuff going on in the prison system, and I've gotten letters from the loved ones, the parents and the wives and people like that, and they talk about all of the things that are going on, and you never know whether to answer that or how do you respond to that. But the family unit, many of these people, all they want to do is just serve their time and get out. They don't want to be ensnared in some gang situation or anything else. They don't want to repeat. They want to do their time and get out. Well,
at Angola, we didn't have any gangs, and I'm not used to gangs, so therefore I don't foresee that we're going to have any for very long, I hope. And, it's just we're just going to have to take care of all that.
How did you not have gangs there?
Well, I had moral rehabilitation. Moral people don't steal your lawnmower, so they don't need to be in gangs that are violent. Now, you can have gangs that aren't violent and peaceful, just like in the church. The pastor, the preacher, and the group is the gang, and the congregation.
Nonviolent.
Yeah.
In other words, from Burl Cain, I've just learned something. A nonviolent gang is called a choir.
That's right.
Is that it?
It's a group of people. So, we just got to realize what it is, and we're not going to have the violence.
So you're going to go up there on Friday of this week, and what will you see, because you've already seen the pictures as far as 29 and 30?
I don't really know I know what I'm going to see because I've been there before, and I'm going to see I'm going to see some good things, and I'm going to not really see what I need to see until COVID is gone, where we can really intermingle with the prisoners and really get the feel for what's happening. But until then, it's all distance, so you can't really feel the culture like you need to feel it.
Yeah.
But I will as soon as I get there because I can recognize it.
It's kind of new for you. You can't get hands-on that quickly.
Right. So you have to stand back, but we will get there. We're going to sit down at the table and check the food and eat that and see what they're good. Good food, good medicine, good playing, good praying. You'll have a good prison.
What have you been told, or what have you seen, and as far as you're trying to get your hands around this, as far as the employee, the staff, and what we do about that?
Let's back up. I've been told, and I want the victims' families. Victims are important, that we don't have more victims, so we have to really have a real positive reentry program so when they leave here that they're better. Corrections means to correct deviant behavior. It doesn't mean lock and feed, torture, and torment. And also inmates' families are victims too. And so you can't have them feeling like they're treated like inmates, and inmates shouldn't be treated horribly. They should be treated as they act. And so that's the culture we're going to have.
You got the right guy with you, the Deputy Commissioner of Administration and Finance. Kerry, what do we do as far as the budget's concerned?
Well, we've been working very closely with the legislature. We've had multiple meetings with the leadership over there, and I've determined that everybody wants to help. And they understand the situation and where we are, and they really want to try to help us get to where we need to get to.
Is there any possibility of federal dollars in there?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, there is. There's some COVID money that's available. We've been working very closely with the leadership. We've provided our numbers and our request over there for that money in addition to the deficit request that we sent over to the legislature.
It'd be hard to figure out where to use that. I mean, because in the employee bases or just the reconstruction or it's a lot of money that's needed.
That's right, and it's the thing about those funds is they're kind of specific. They've got to be directly COVID related. But we've got a plan together. We know what we need to do and what we want to do, and we're getting a lot of support from the leadership over there.
Commissioner, how many people do we need as far as the prison system? How much are we short as far as guards or administrative part?
Here's what we just did. This is a major change. We're short, but to enable us to get caught up, we just initiated a plan yesterday where that you can ask us for a job today, and we will have you on the payroll tomorrow in one day. We can have you from being interviewed on the payroll. And our website is www.mdoc.state.ms.org. Go to the website if you need a job, and we'll have you on the payroll the next day.
What type of jobs are we talking about?
We're talking about the correctional officers, where we're short.
You're in guards?
In guards.
You don't have to have any training at all?
Yes, we do. We're going to put you on the payroll, then you'll be trained, but we got to get you in the gate and get a check in your pocket.
So in other words, while you're being trained, you're going to be paid?
Yes, sir.
All right, so if you need a job and you want it tomorrow, is that all across the state or just in the adult area?
That's going to be in our adult correctional institutions. And it's going to be it's already been enabled. Gary, we on board with that, aren't we?
We're on board with that.
The checks will be clearing.
The checks will be clearing.
I have a question I've got to ask you here that the previous guest asked me to ask you about the rodeo. When do we start the rodeo?
Well, surprisingly enough, I didn't come here to start a rodeo, but I have to tell you that I'm not sure I'm going to leave here with the rodeo because it seems to be very popular, and if it is, then that's a good thing. And the inmates at Parchment, though, will have to be worthy that we're going to bring people to see them, and if they change their attitude and we get it right, I wouldn't say we wouldn't have one, maybe in a year and a half or so, but it's really up to Parchment in the character and the behavior of the inmates. And so if y'all hearing any of this, you boys better straighten up.
So you got to earn it.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn it. Kerry, do you remember the last time we had a Parchment rodeo?
No, I've heard stories about it, but I don't remember.
Perez, do you remember? It's been 10 or 15 years, hasn't it, or longer? It's been a long time.
It was before Elizabeth was queen.
Oh, it was 1843. So, but not only that, there are other things that you have talked about the possibility of bringing there. Again, on the same merits of, do you earn this? Here's what we could do.
It is, but here's what we really are going to do. We're going to have classes K through 12, and we're going to be teaching those with inmates because we don't have the dollars for the teachers. The teachers will supervise, but we can do this. We did this at Angola. We need literacy. We need inmates in class so that they're employable, and education is basic. So we're going to be doing that at all our prisons, using prisoners themselves as teachers. And we're going to then have the students in the classroom, and we're going to work with the National Guard to get the buildings to do this with, the portable buildings, and we can do these. I did that in Angola.
I'm surprised that that's not being done, though. I thought it was being done. We've had a lot of interviews with Chris Epps over the years, and I thought that was being done.
Well, I hoped he would do it. I've talked to him about it, too, but it never did get done, so we're supposed to get it done.
I took a tour once with him on the agriculture part of that, and I'm not sure where that is today. Where's the agri part?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out because my degree is in agriculture, and I ran the prison farms and operations at Angola in my first job all over the Department of Corrections back when I started early in my career.
So you haven't gotten into that yet?
I know we're producing vegetables, and I know that's good, and we're going to do it as much as we can. And, again, the good food is imperative.
That along with the prison industries.
And the prison industry
Have you
as well.
have you had a chance to look at that and assess that?
I haven't, but I've been contacted by the gentleman that operates that, and he and I will be meeting shortly, probably next week.
More with Burl Cain coming. With Burl Cain, who's the Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Corrections. First visit for him, Deputy Commissioner of Administration and Finance, Kerry McDonald. And I think every agency is the same way, Kerry. When right before this pandemic, man, we were looking good. Everything was. We were able to maybe even start making some inroads, and the legislature was ready to meet for the 2020, saying, we'll be able to address this prison situation.
That's right.
And to be honest with you, the prison situation, as far as the unrest there, was the number one story.
That's right.
And we were ready to tackle it. And then, boom.
That's exactly right. And as a matter of fact, when I accepted the job over here, things were like that. It dealt us a little bit of a hiccup along the way, but we're gonna make it work.
When you go back and you look, Commissioner Burl Cain, when you go back and you look at Angola, a lot of lessons taught, and it was one of the worst. I mean, I was watching something on TV not too long ago, and we were talking about this guy who was found innocent, who was in there for like 37 years, African-American gentleman who did a DNA test, but he was talking about Angola. And in his early years, it was one of the worst in the country. And you stayed there for how long?
I stayed there for 21
years, and you leave it as one of, or a lot better off.
It is. It's one of the safest in the nation, and people come from all over the world to see what happened. But the whole thing that changed it was the moral rehabilitation, the seminary, because when we started producing our own preachers, then they relate to each other much better, as you would if you started a mission field in Brazil. Then the locals are going to run it and do it. So the locals in prison run it and do it. So then they change their own culture, but we enable them to do it and push back on the ones who didn't want to change. And so then that's what really changed it. But we want to look at rehabilitation, and we don't want them to get out and have more victims of violent crime. I've executed 7 people, and you look at the victims, it's all about less crime victims. And that's what the governor wanted. He wanted us to make the change, but to change people truly, you have to change them in their heart and inside. And that's what we're going to be doing at Parchment. That's what we're doing in these other states.
Explain this. What is it, a preacher program, or exactly what are we talking about here?
We produce the ministers through the seminary. But look, here's the deal. Anybody can go. Atheists can go. Muslims go. Everybody can go. We don't care. But we want you morally to change. And then when you get through the seminary, we want long-term inmates because we want the bang for the buck. Protestants in Mississippi have put up $50,000 a year for the last 16 years to pay for that seminary, $800,000, but got really no production.
Where did that money go?
It went into the seminary, and they were teaching the inmates to do it, but they never enabled the inmates to go to other prisons in Mississippi. So today, there's 44 inmates at Parchment, 22 life sentences that have completed 4 years of an accredited college like Ole Miss, the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, waiting. And here I come. And we had one in the pulpit Monday for the first time ever in Mississippi preaching to another group of inmates. This is the dynamic change you're going to see, because that's the culture change coming there from them to each other. That's going to happen, and I'm going to have 40 in class this fall because we got to cover the other prisons.
The culture of contraband, how did you address that in Angola?
The culture of contraband is we're going to stop it at the front gate, and we're going to get it out one way or the other. It cannot stay there, and the cell phones have to go. Let's talk about the gangs. I'm not going to share my authority with an inmate. I'm not going to let a gang be running one of our prisons. And if they're listening, boys, get ready, because here we come. You're not running anything. We're running it. And so that's what I did in Angola. And we have ways and the tools to get them out, and we'll root them out. They're gone.
We heard stories in there because we had a lot of interviews on it. And again, the new commissioner of corrections, Burl Cain, is my guest. We had stories where they actually had some of the guards who were in their 20s or 30s who were members of some of the inmates and gangs, and they made sure that these kids came through without getting in trouble just for the purpose of getting that job, so they would be in an inside with them as guards. Maybe the nephews, the kids of, or that, and they're there. And how do you get those out? How do you find out who those are?
Well, Kerry can maybe elaborate on what the authority of the government is to let us make the move with the people we have to move. We're going to get them out. We cannot leave them because they're toxic. We cannot have change if they're fighting us from inside. We're not going to get away with it.
Certainly they don't have tenure, so you ought to be able to do it, Kerry.
That's right. If we determine that anybody's breaking the law, which that's breaking the law, bringing contraband into our facilities, we're going to follow our procedures and we're going to investigate it. We're going to prosecute them. We're going to take it to district attorney, whatever it takes to get rid of those folks.
So the word is, as we almost end this, the word is from the new commissioner, if you are listening and you are in prison on your radio as we speak now, be prepared. But if you do the right thing, then you earn some good things.
That's right. You might earn the rodeo.
I don't even know how we restart a rodeo. I guess it wouldn't be that hard to do. But I remember the rodeo as a kid. I never went to one, but I remember. Do you have them in Angola?
Oh yeah, we gross about $4 million a year with the rodeo.
Get out of here! You grossed $4 million a year?
Oh yeah.
Was that a rodeo a week or one a year?
No, that was an arena that held about 11,000 people with 15,000 in it, with about 700 or 800 inmates from Angola that were well behaved and never had an incident.
Is they have a chance to practice, or they just bring them in and do it at one time?
You don't need much practice. Just ride.
Two words. Hold on.
Hold on with both hands too. We allow that.
How are things so far? You got in there beside the preacher, and I thought that was a great story. But how else has things changed since you've taken over?
Well, we were working to do the reentry program because we're going to have court reentry where the judge would sentence someone just to our reentry program with a 10-year sentence. Then he would change it to probation after we get him prepared and get him into a job that he can do, like a certified welder, a certified automotive mechanic, but a job that really pays good money. We need to get out of here and contribute back.
Were you familiar with our system here in the state of Mississippi, or is it really not that much of a difference?
It's not that much of a difference. All the prisons are basically alike. The same thing happens. It's just how you manage it.
When you also look at our parole board system here, what's your thoughts there?
I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at all at it, so I couldn't comment about the parole board. I hope that they do good and do well, and if they don't, we'll encourage them to.
Yeah. So you've been on the job now for, what, a couple of weeks? That's about it?
About 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. But I know you're looking forward to it. I didn't think about this, though, but it is tough when you come in, and the number one thing I know you want to do is just get into the minutia, go meet the people, and all of that's just kind of on hold because of this COVID-19. It
is, and it's hampered us, but it's okay. We're going to make it. We're going to get out there, and we're going to use social distancing, and we're going to have prison.
You had a chance to settle in as far as the home life?
I am. I'm just kind of flitting around. I'm going to buy a condo somewhere and get settled in. So it's all working well.
So that's going to take a while, though.
I'm only 2.5 hours from where I live in Louisiana, though, so not too bad.
Well, the food here is a lot better than down there.
I can't comment on that now. I have to tell you, I have enjoyed the gumbo everywhere I've eaten it, and I do eat a lot of gumbo, so it is good. Y'all, it's good.
Well, we got good food. Where are you from originally?
Oh, I'm from in the western part of Louisiana, over near Fort Polk.
But see, I was hoping when we found out that Burl Cain was from Louisiana, I was hoping he had one of these great Cajun accents.
Oh, no, I have a country accent.
You got a country accent. It's just nowhere near Cajun. So.
Yeah, see, I'm a redneck, I guess, up in that part.
So you missed your boat's not a Piro boat. It's a John boat.
It's not. Yeah, that's right. It's not a Piro. I'd fall out of that.
Kerry, who is the Department of Corrections Deputy Commissioner of Administration and Finance, your final thoughts, sir? Anything that you want to leave with here?
Well, no, I'm just I'm happy the commissioner's here, and when he came, I like his thoughts. We're lockstep in our thoughts and how we want to do. We got a big challenge to take care of, but we're going to do it.
And I think Sean Tyndall, former judge and now the commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety, said this beautifully this morning. Everybody who's in the prison system is going to have some things against them. The first thing you do is have a lawsuit by the ACLU, but you've been able to address all of those things.
I have. I've been able to keep the separation of church and state. I work with the ACLU, not against them. and I don't want any lawsuits because we can't afford that. It's costly, so it's better to get along and work with them and work in the parameters that they allow, and which they do, and we keep the separation of church and state with those private donations.
Well, if you're going to use a lot of inmate labor, we ought to have some lawyers in there.
We do. We probably have every kind of inmate you could think of. That's what's good. We get a wide variety.
Don't be a stranger. I thank you so very, very much. Your final thoughts here as you leave?
My final thought is I love Mississippi. I love the challenge here. We're going to win. We're going to be successful. We're going to have the best prison system in the country.
Thank you, man. Don't be a stranger. The new Commissioner, Burl Cain of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. We got more coming up, my friends.